Imagine living next door to a seemingly ordinary family man, only to discover he's the notorious BTK Killer. Dennis Rader's quiet suburban life in Park City, Kansas, masked a brutal serial murderer who terrorized for over 30 years. The day police swarmed his home on February 25, 2005, shattered the illusion of safety in this unsuspecting neighborhood. But how did this unassuming church leader and family man become one of the most notorious killers in American history? To understand the full scope of Dennis Rader's double life, we need to rewind back to where it all began. Dennis Rader was born in 1945 in a quiet corner of Kansas. Rader's father was in the U.S. Marine Corps and later worked for the Kansas Electric Utility following World War II. Rader joined the Boy Scouts and participated in group activities at the Lutheran Church. He attended Riverview Elementary School, where he was a below-average student, exhibiting an introverted and withdrawn personality. By his own admission, Rader developed fantasies about domination, bondage, and torture at a very early age, even while still in grade school. In the summer of 1966, at age 21, Rader joined the U.S. Air Force. During his service, he displayed voyeuristic behaviors, such as peeking through window blinds to watch women undress and breaking into homes to steal undergarments. After about a year after his return to Wichita from the service, in July 1973, he found work with Cessna, a small airplane manufacturer. However, in late 1973, Rader was fired from Cessna. Suddenly unemployed, in a terrible state of mind, and with too much free time on his hands, he slipped deeper into the dark fantasy world he had known since childhood. Rader began to enjoy what he called trolling, which meant driving or walking around certain neighborhoods and school campuses to watch and fantasize about young women. He stalked women as they shopped alone in grocery stores, planning to capture them. By 1974, Rader felt compelled to act on his obsessive fantasies. A new Latino family had moved into his neighborhood, and Rader noticed Julie Otero, age 34, and her daughter Josephine, age 11. Rader stalked Julie and Josephine for weeks to learn their daily routines. Based on his observations, he devised a plan to take them by surprise in their own home. He assembled his so-called hit kit, which included a gun, knives, hoods, ropes, tape, plastic bags, gloves, and various tools for breaking and entering. On the morning of January 15th, at 8:20 a.m., he went to the Otero house, entered the backyard, and cut the phone line. Despite his careful planning, things did not go as anticipated. In addition to the two females, Julie's husband, Joe Otero, age 38, and their 9-year-old son, Joey, were also at home. Undeterred, Rader somehow managed to control all 4 family members using his gun. He told them he was a criminal on the run and needed money, food, and a car to escape. Using his cold, apathetic, and non-threatening demeanor, Rader convinced the Otero family that he meant no harm and was able to get all of them tied up without incident. In succession, he ended the lives of Joe, Julie, and Joey. Rader then moved on to his real target, the daughter Josephine. He forced her to go down into the basement, where he ended her life as well. This horrifying event marked the beginning of the killing career of Dennis Rader. Rader's modus operandi was always the same. He would stalk his victims, break into their homes, and then bind, torture, and kill them. He took pleasure in the power and control he had over his victims, and this would become his signature. Rader taunted the police and the media, sending them letters describing his crimes in detail. These communications, filled with misspellings and grammatical errors, would become infamous. In one letter, he even suggested several names for himself, including BTK Strangler. The police and the media adopted the BTK moniker, and it stuck. For years, the BTK Killer eluded capture. His ability to blend into society and his meticulous planning made him a difficult target for law enforcement. Despite numerous efforts, the case went cold, and Rader continued his double life without suspicion. In 1977, after 3 years of silence, Dennis Rader decided to resurface as BTK. Feeling the urge to kill again, he was trolling through a neighborhood when he spotted his next victim. There, he encountered a 5-year-old boy named Steve Relford. Rader showed Steve a picture of his own wife and son and asked if he knew where they were. The boy said no and went home. Later, Rader knocked on Steve's door, posing as a detective. Inside the house were 3 children, including Steve. Rader turned off the TV and closed the blinds. Their mother, Shirley Vian, came out of her room startled. At gunpoint, Rader ordered the children into the bathroom and locked them inside. He then told Vian about his intentions, but somehow managed to calm her down, giving her a glass of water and smoking a cigarette with her. With the children screaming in the bathroom, Rader tied up their mother and strangled her to death with a cord. A phone call interrupted him, causing him to leave early, leaving the children still trapped in the bathroom and screaming for their mother. Later that year, a woman named Nancy Fox met a similar fate. Rader broke into her home and waited for her to return from work. When she did, he surprised her, binding her hands and feet. As he tightened the rope around her neck, he watched her life slip away, a slight smirk playing on his lips. Rader sent another letter to the media, describing Fox's murder in chilling detail. He even called the police from a payphone to report the crime himself, his voice calm and composed, betraying no hint of the monster he truly was. Rader's crimes came to a temporary halt in the 1980s. It appeared as though he had stopped, but in reality, he was simply biding his time. He resurfaced in 1985 with the murder of Maureen Hedge, a neighbor of Rader's. This killing was particularly risky, as it occurred close to his own home. He broke into her house, bound her, and strangled her, later dumping her body in a ditch. In 1986, Rader struck again, killing Vicki Wegerle. Despite the brutality of these murders, Rader remained undetected. Rader's final known victim was Dolores Davis, murdered in 1991. He broke into her home, bound her, and killed her, discarding her body under a bridge. After this, he went silent, seemingly vanishing from the criminal scene. But in 2004, Rader's insatiable need for attention led him to resume contact with the media. He sent a series of letters, packages, and even a computer disk to the media. This would prove to be his undoing. One of the letters contained a floppy disk that Rader had used to write a message. Rader had asked the police through his communications if it was safe to send a disk without it being traced back to him, and the police deceptively assured him it was safe. When the police received the disk, they analyzed it and found metadata embedded in a deleted Microsoft Word document. The metadata revealed that the last person to modify the document was Dennis, and it was linked to the Christ Lutheran Church. Further investigation showed that Dennis Rader was the president of the church council. Using this crucial piece of information, the police quickly connected the dots. They cross-referenced the name Dennis Rader with other information they had gathered, including his home address and vehicle. The final nail in the coffin was the DNA evidence. Authorities obtained a warrant to test a pap smear taken from Rader's daughter at a medical clinic. The DNA from the pap smear matched the DNA found at the BTK crime scenes, conclusively linking Dennis Rader to the murders. From there, it didn't take long for the police to make their move. On February 25, 2005, they arrested Dennis Rader, bringing an end to his decades-long reign of terror. During his interrogation, Dennis Rader confessed to 10 murders. He recounted his crimes with a chilling lack of remorse, describing the details with the same meticulousness that he had shown in his killings.
And I think I've reached a point in my life, the kids were gone, not really bored, but kind of bored.
In another admission that reveals Rader's depravity, he told the psychologist the thrill had little to do with the kill, or for that matter, with the victim herself.
And I don't think it was actually the person that I was after, I think it was the dream. I know that's not really nice to say about a person, but they were basically an object. They were just an object, that's all they were. I had more satisfaction building up to it and afterwards than I did the actual killing of the person.
He spoke about his crimes as if they were projects, referring to his victims as projects and describing his preparation and execution in a disturbingly calm and detached manner. Throughout the interrogation, Rader's demeanor was strikingly cold and unemotional. He seemed to take pride in his ability to deceive those around him, recounting how he had managed to live a double life for so many years without arousing suspicion. On August 18, 2005, Dennis Rader was sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms, ensuring he would spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. The BTK Killer, who had terrorized Wichita for decades, was finally brought to justice. The case of Dennis Rader is a stark reminder of the evil that can lurk behind the most ordinary of facades. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the case of Dennis Rader. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.